Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my channel. This is the tutorial video for this album that I designed for Country Craft Creations. It's a 8x10 baby album using Echo Park's Baby on Board, It's a Girl. This is the tutorial for the base, on how to make the base album, the cover, and the pages, and the flips, and the flaps. I do have a separate walkthrough showing you how I patterned it and the pattern papers that I used and decorated, so stay tuned. To create this baby album, I am going to be using the natural color artisan cardstock, and I will list the number of 12x12 sheets that I actually are probably close to what I use in the cutting guide. You'll need 2 sheets of the 12x12 heavyweight chipboard. Of course, I'm using the Echo Park Baby on Board, It's a Girl collection. I have a sticker sheet and 2 of each of the 12x12 patterns, plus the coordinating solids. I have the ephemera pack, the frames and tags, blue, light blue, and light pink seam binding ribbon, the light yellow color, or can't remember what it's called, the buttons, those are linked down below, and some jute twine to decorate with. The decorating will be done off camera, and but I will show you how to make the album, which is going to be an 8x10 album. So let's get started now. I do want to share that before I finished decorating the album, I did on my own purchase some more of the elements. I decided I wanted the chipboard set to decorate with, and then I ordered some more of the pattern papers because I wanted to give this as a gift, and I wanted to make sure I had enough to finish some of the sections. So I will try to add in exactly what I added extra into the, as far as the paper in the cutting guide. But here I'm going to use the chipboard pieces because I think they'll work really well in some of the areas. And I also love the flat back enamel dots that match the collection. So I ordered some of those, and then I ordered extra of the pattern papers, the ones that I thought I would use. Probably ordered a couple of different prints to add on, and then also I ordered more of the coordinating solids that you see there on my table here. So I ordered at least 2 sheets of each of that, so that I would have enough to finish up this album. So these I did purchase in addition to what I got in my design team package. To create the cover for the 8x10 album, we're going to be using heavyweight chipboard. So you need 2 12x12 pieces of that, and I've already cut mine. I will give you the measurements. It will be in the cutting guide. And of course the cardstock to wrap. I will be using these spacers from Country Craft Creations. If you don't have those, you might want to check those out. I'll try to remember to link them down below. They do sell out sometimes, but they always come back into the online store. I have my cardstock. I will give you the measurements. I will be using the lay flat method, which I will actually do off camera. I will refer you up above to a link to my video that shows you how to do it. Use these measurements and the instructions in that video on how to make it if you've never made a lay flat album cover before. So you technically need 2 pieces, one for the front, one for the back, cut at 8x10. Then you need 1 piece for the spine, cut at 3x10. We're going to wrap the album covers, so you need 2 that are 10x12 that go with these pieces here. Then you need a piece that is 6x12 for this one, and then for the inside support piece you need 1 cardstock that's 7x10 and a matching 7x10 score tape sheet to go with that. So that's what you need to create yours. You use those measurements if you're making this baby album. I'll get mine done, and then we'll come back here and start working on our pages. My album cover is assembled, and I did go ahead and put pattern paper from the collection, from the Echo Park Baby on Board, It's a Girl collection. This is what I chose. I used the blue, let me see what it says, the mint. I used the mint color for the matting, and then I used this one in the dots which is the back side of Baby Girl Nursery. So those are what I use: Baby Girl Nursery, the dots, and then the mint. And I did use just the solid, the opposite side of mint, which is from the scraps, the dark pink, because it goes with that. So I may add something else on here later as I'm working on the album, you know, with some scraps. And I did cut the first mat, the mint color, 1/8 of an inch shorter. So this is cut at 7 7/8 wide, the mint, by 9 7/8 tall. And then I brought it all down 1/4 of an inch smaller again with the print. So that makes it 7 5/8 wide by 9 5/8 tall. So that's what I cut on that. And then the spine I cut at 2 7/8 wide by the height, which is 9 7/8 tall. And this piece in here is cut at 2 5/8 wide in the same height. So that's the cover, and now I'm ready to start working on the base pages. We're going to make 4 base pages, and all 4 of the base pages are made the same. So I've already made 3, and these do have the L hinge with the 1/4 inch give space. So I'll show you how to do that. And they all have the side pocket like this. So this is our base pages, and then we'll build onto the pages our flaps and pockets that we want on those. So for 4 base pages, you're going to cut 4 that are 8 1/4 by 10, and then you need 4 that are 8 by 11. So let's take the 8 1/4 by 10. We're going to put the 8 1/4 in at the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/4. This is what gives us our hinge on this page. Okay, so we've got that 1/2 inch, 3/4 on your 8 1/2. Then we take this piece. This will make our pocket. We're going to take the 8 by 11. Did I say the wrong measurement earlier? But it's 8 by 11. So we're going to score the 11-inch side at 1/2 inch and 10 1/2. Turn and score the 8-inch side at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to assemble this page. You will do all 4, score them all 4 the same, and assemble all 4 the same. So first take your pocket one, and you can see where the score lines intersect. Can't see real right there where that little corner is. I'm just going to cut at an angle to miter that, to take away the bulk. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold the score lines and burnish. Make sure we burnish really well. We want a good, crisp, clean score line here. So this is the pocket for the pocket page or pocket sleeve that goes on the main page. So we also fold and burnish both score lines on our hinge. And because they're hinges, we can do them back and forth several times to train them. And of course I am using artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations, which for this type of hinge is what works the best. It's the 85 to 87 pound cardstock, and it is really strong. I have never had any problems with my hinges this way. Okay, so once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and completely fold the hinges back so you don't even see a score line. You have both of them on the back side like this. Okay, so you just have a nice fold. That way we can line up our pocket without worrying about where that line is. So we're going to make sure we line up from this cut edge and then place this down. So I'm going to do this hinge first, the long bottom one first. So I'm going to put my glue on that. I'm using the art glitter glue. Put the glue on the bottom hinge. Just like that. And like I said, we're going to line it up. Fold of the hinge, fold of the pocket. But we're going to make sure we're lining up on the outer edge here. We want this even. So I'm placing it down here at the bottom, make sure everything's lined up. And then look and place it here at the top the same way. So it may have to, if some of you may want to use your scoreboard to help line it up, I just keep lifting and placing until I get it where I want it. So then once that's lined up, I'm going to burnish it really well. So see, it's lined up over here good on the outer edge, pretty close. Then I'm going to lift up this pocket and burnish it on the inside. Now if you want to make it so that nothing hangs, you can put a strip of Scotch tape right along that. This is one trick that really helps to keep your pocket inserts from hanging on that groove. So you just put the tape, clear tape on that. You don't have to worry about the side ones, just this bottom one here where it comes in and hits like that. Now we take the glue and add it to the two side hinges. Okay, fold it up, drop it down, make sure it stays straight on the side here. Burnish and burnish. And that is our base page with our pocket and our hinge attached on the side. So we have all four done. Do all four the same. Have them all ready to go into our book once we do our different layers and things. So we're going to work on, I'm going to call these 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this will be 1A, and then 1B will be the back, so forth. So that's how we're going to keep track of those. For page 1A, we're going to make 2 full flaps, stack pockets underneath, and a smaller flap on top. So you do need to start off with 2 full sheets of 12 by 12, and we're going to cut, I've already cut one. You're going to make 2 flaps that are 7.5 by 10. So cut your 7.5 first. Save this piece, turn and cut this one to 10. Got this little piece to save. So I have 2 that are 7.5 by 10, and I have these 2 big cutoffs left that are 4.5 by 8.5, 4 by 12 still. We're going to trim these down. Instead of 8.5, I want to make sure they fit in right in on the page. So put it at 8.5, then back it off about 1/16 of an inch. So you're actually cutting it at 7 and 15, no, 7 and 8/16. No, we're cutting it 8, sorry. So take your 8.5 piece, put it in at 8.5, and back it off to the left 1/16. You're going to make it 1/16 of an inch shorter than your 8.5. So that's 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/16. Just put it right there. That's one little tick mark below, so that we have room for our fold. So just cut it like that. That's for the pocket. Save this for photo mats later. So again, put it in at 8.5 and then just back it off one little tick mark, 1/16 of an inch down, and score. Cut. And we got that. Then you will cut from another full piece of cardstock. You will cut one down. I've already got this one here cut. We need a smaller flap that is. Let me see if this is enough for mine. 6 by 5.5. Just trim that down. That was left over from something else I had. You might have a leftover piece that you can use. If so, that would be great. Or you'll have to cut one from a full sheet. So we have that. So now we're ready to score. So let's take our bigger pieces first. Let's put our 8 1/4 in at the top. Okay, let's start here with let's start with our big flaps first. We're going to put our 7.5 in at the top, and we're just going to score at 1/2 inch on each one. Take the other one. Seven and a half at the top, score at 1/2 inch. So these are going to make our full flaps. Then we'll take the pocket pieces, even though we trimmed them down, we're still going to score them at 1/2 inch on each end. So put your 8 inch I did cut that one wrong. I did. I cut one wrong. Okay, I'm going to have to recut that one. Your pockets should be 8.5. There we go. That one's correct. Take your 2 pocket pages. Remember, it was 8.5, but we cut it about 1/16 of an inch shorter, but put it in at the top, score it at 1/2 inch, turn, score the long side at 1/2 inch, turn and score the other end at 1/2 inch. Do both of these the same way. 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch here, turn, and the last short side at 1/2 inch. Okay, we have one more piece to score, which is our smaller flap, and we're going to score our 5.5 side at just 1/2 inch. Okay, so now we're ready to put these together, to fold and burnish and put them together. So we'll do the 2 flaps first. Just fold the long score line and burnish. Take your pockets. You're going to angle cut where the square is down here at the intersection. Just at an angle on both of these. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish those fold lines. On one pocket, do all 3. The other one, do not fold your bottom score line. That's just going to be a guide. So we just fold the 2 sides. And these should be able to fit in together like that when we get it on our page. I have to cut a little more angle right there to get them to fit properly. Okay, so now we fold this score line and we're ready to put these on a page. So you grab one base page, hinges to the left, opening to the right, because we're working on page 1A, which is the front side. And we're going to put our big flaps on first, like this. There should be about 1/2 of an inch spacing left. It doesn't fit all the way across. So I'm going to put glue on this hinge. Line this up right on the edge of the fold here on the left side. Make sure it's straight on the bottom here. Straight at the top. And we're going to burnish that. So that's the one on the left. There's our hinge. So this one, I'm going to open it up so it's kind of out of my way, and I'm going to attach this one to the right side, which is on the side of the pocket, open page pocket. So your glue. Okay, line it up. Fold of the flap to the edge of the page. Make sure these are lining up down here at the bottom and at the top. And burnish. And before it all dries completely, double check and make sure everything is lined up good on the top and the bottom. So that's the way it folds, like that. The thing will be held down by a magnet. Next we will put, let's go ahead and put our pockets in. Let's open this up. We're going to take this bottom one where you folded under all sides. Get just a little more off of this. Okay. And I'm going to put down the bottom one first. And you see, by giving it that, trimming it down just a tiny bit, it keeps it away from our fold of our flaps. So I'm going to put this on the bottom edge first. And I'm going to line this up along the fold bottom of the pocket, along the bottom of the page. And it's just going to be a tiny bit off from the fold lines. And that's where I want it. So I'm going to burnish this in. Okay. Make sure it sticks there. Okay, if you want to keep this from anything snagging, go ahead and put your piece of clear tape down right there over that edge. And then we're going to go ahead and bring this up, as there should be no problem with adding our patterned paper with this already attached down. So I've got to put the glue on the hinges on both sides, fold it up and drop it down. Make sure it's flat and burnish it in. Okay. Now this one, a little more glue right there, notice. Okay, so this one, you're just going to glue on the two sides. You're not going to put any glue on the bottom because I'm making a long pocket here at the top. So these will fit in using that score line is where the score line fits down into that pocket. So that's how far you push that in. So we just put glue on our sides. Just like this. Whoops. Carefully place that in. Line it up on the sides, and your lines should all be straight on the sides. Right here. There we go. And burnish those sides in. And then these should fold up like that. Now then, we're going to open this is our hinge over here. Open this one to the left. We're going to take this one and we're going to attach it to the side. So this page is 10. I'm going to line it up on my grid. And this is 6. should be 6 if I cut it right. Yeah. So we want it down 2 inches from the top and 2 inches from the bottom. So I'm just going to put glue on my little 1/2 inch hinge and line it up on this flap 2 inches here and get it straight. And that is our little flap on the front. I'll go ahead and open this up and burnish it. And it closes like that. So now we're ready to put a magnet on to hold that down. So let me grab that. So I have 2 basic gray small magnets I'm going to use. And I'm going to peel the backing off of this front one. I still want to put a little glue on it. And I'm going to attach it down about center, about 3/4 from the edge, like that. Now what this is going to do, we need to, I think, attach it. You could do it like that and it would hold everything in, so that way you won't have as many thicknesses to go through. So let's just do that. So I'm going to pull this backing off. I also have the tonic magnets that don't have any adhesive on them that I will also probably be using, because I just happened to find these 2 that I still had. So I'm going to pull this back. So we've got the magnets there. And I'm just going to take some tape and secure them in place to kind of smooth them out when we put our pattern paper on, and also to make sure they don't come loose while I am adding the pattern paper. So I want to keep everything contained. So that is page 1A, and we can take a pencil so that we know, and just put 1A like that. Page 1A, so that we'll know when we're putting them, doing our pattern paper, which way they go. Okay, so next we're going to be working on page 2A, which is, next we'll be working on page 1B, which is the back side. For page 1B, take 2 more full sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock, artisan cardstock, cut one down for a flap, a page flap that is 7.5 by 10. And we're going to score that on the 7.5 inch side, just like we did on the other side, at a 1/2 inch. So this is the flap here for the full page flap. Trying to make a lot of places for photos for this baby album. Okay, so we got that one. Then you take your other 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock and you cut 4 pieces that one sheet that are 5.5 by 5. So I have 4 of those, and I'm going to score my 5.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. So I have 5 by 5 flaps. So this is, score this at a 1/2 inch. This is your, make sure it's your 5.5 side. Score at a 1/2 inch. Place the 5.5 in at the top. Score at a 1/2. Okay, so we're ready to put these on the page. Let's go ahead and fold these though. Fold and burnish. Okay, so we got those. And then we got our page. So this is our 1B. So here's what we just did, 1A. Flip it over. Now the hinge is to your right. Okay, so this page hinge is going to go on top of the page, or this page flap, rather. So put your glue on your 1/2 inch. Gonna line it up to the edge, the left edge Make sure it's straight on the bottom, lined up. If you need to lift and move it a little bit, do so. Okay, burnish. Lift that back and burnish. Okay, we got that. All right, so now we're ready to put these on, figure out how we want to put these little 5x5s on. Okay, to put these 5x5 flaps on, I'm going to put this piece of yellow paper underneath so you can see this flap. This is where they're going to go, is on this flap. So 2 will fit down here, stacked up on each other. Now we can do it where they open the same. We kind of accordion. I think I might like them the other way, the accordion way. So let's put one down on the bottom here. We put glue on the 1/2 inch. You can kind of mix these up any way you want to put them down. Like if you want to stack them on each other. So I'm going to put this right on the edge of the left here. We'll make sure they're lined up on the bottom, just like that. Burnish that. So there it is on that side. And then we're going to put one, and they should fit because this is a 10-inch tall page flap, and these are 2 5x5, so 5 inch, it should fit right in there. Line it up. Let me turn it so I can see better. Line up the edge here. Make sure it's lining up here at the top. I need to move it a little bit. The glue starts setting right away, didn't it? Let me get some more on there. Okay. I needed it up just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm going to make sure I've got it correct. Right there. Whoop. Okay. Right on the edge there. Line it up at the top and then burnish. So that we have these 2 down. And like I said, you can either put your next one on that stacks like this and would be open and open, or we can put it on the opposite side and then they will fold out if we want to. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put this glue on this 1/2 inch, and then it's going to line up onto this flap here on the right side of the bottom one. And again, you've got to make sure you're getting them lined up edge to edge and burnish. So that one is on that side. You see how it opens out, and then this one is going to go on the inner side of this one. So glue. Line it up. Okay. Burnish. Okay, so take that out so you can see what we've got. We've got it like this. Now we are going to have to put magnets on them. I'm using primarily magnets in this. You could put a ribbon closure if you wanted to, but like I said, I'm going to do a magnet here and a magnet here. So I'm going to get those real quick, and it's going to be the small tonic ones that I'm going to use. Okay, so we're going to take, we have 2 sets of magnets. We're going to put a magnet right here in the center, about 3/4 of an inch in. I have 2 stuck together. Let me separate it. I'll put one down with glue, and then I take a little bit of tape and secure that on, just like that. Finish that around it. Let me see which way it fits. So that's the way it fits. So I need to take, let's just do it with glue. I'm going to take glue, put a dot of glue on it. It's going to mark it for me. Bring this over and close it. Press down. I can see where my glue mark is. So I take my magnet, put it back on that spot, and cover it with some tape. There we go. Turn this one around so we can do this one the same way. This one just a little bit closer to the edge. Tape it down. Attach the magnet. Glue on that magnet so we can mark our spot. There it is. Add a little more glue there. And some tape. Okay. So we have page 1A and 1B assembled for our baby book. So there's 1A and 1B. I'm going to write 1B on this. Okay, now we're ready to move on to page 2A. Before we move on to page 2A, as I was turning this, I realized that I'm going to need something here to keep these flaps down as well. So I'm adding extra magnets. Now, an option for you would be, if you want to do the ribbon tie, you would have to somehow attach it underneath here, like cut a slit in your pattern paper and have it come up like right here, and then attach it before you glue this flap down, and then you could hold both of those down. Just an option that you can think of, or you can put one of those swivel closures here if you wanted to. I'm going to do the magnets, so there's different options that you can do to hold this down, but I still like the way that it gives the extra places for photos. So I'm going to go ahead and real quick put me some glue down here on this one. So I'm using the little tonic ones again. Put the glue here for one of these. Oops. Make sure it comes over ways. Get some tape on it. So I thought I'd better show you this before I moved on. I want to make sure that the magnets are all where they need to be. What did I do with the other one? Oh, it's in my hand. Okay. I'm like, I have another one. What did I do with it? Okay, here we put glue on it, and we're going to close it down, press it down, and get that mark for my glue. Put this magnet over there. Right there. Tape it. So now when my page turns, that will not flap flop over, and someone do the same thing here. So I'll put one here. And the tape. Attach the magnet down. Glue on it. Close up the flap. See where the glue goes. Put my magnet there with the gluey side down and my tape. And I've got a little paper sticking out here. I need to clip off. Okay, so then this attaches, and now our flaps will stay in place. So now I am definitely ready to move on to page 2A as we keep working on this album. Okay, so for page 2A, I'm going to make 4 photo mat flaps, 4x6 size. So from your cutoffs, you should have 4 strips that are 4x12. But we need to cut these to 6.5 long so that we can have attachment flaps. So go ahead and cut each one so that they're 4x6.5. So you save this cutoff one. It's going to be smaller. Just save that for later on, perhaps. 6.5 on all 4 of these. Okay, so we have those cut. So you cut those from scraps. Let me get my scoreboard. And we're going to score each one on the 6.5 side at a 1/2 inch. Okay, do all 4 of those. Fold and burnish. Okay, now let's grab a new base page. This is going to be 2A, so we want the hinge to the left, page pocket opening to the right. Just like that. So now I'm going to play with these and see, like you could do one like that, whatever configuration you want, some horizontal, some vertical, maybe something like that, and they'll kind of hold each other down. So I'm just trying to think about it and see how I want this to work. Okay, so I'm going to put one at the top and then one at the bottom, and they do overlap, but that's okay. So I'm going to take my glue, and remember, you can arrange yours any way you want. So I'm going to turn this away so I can put it at the top, right along the top edge, making sure it lines up here on the side, right here. Get your bone folder and burnish. Now this one's going to go down here on the bottom, and it's going to overlap this one. So put this one down at the bottom towards the right side of the page. Make sure everything lines up. Okay, then these, I'm going to put it underneath here. So I'm going to open these up. These are going to go like this. So I got one on the left here. This is for the vertical photos. So put this one, the fold of this one, to the far left side of the page, right along, so that this one folds over it. Just make sure. Okay, burnish. And then I put this one over here. I'm going to turn my page. So I'll put my glue here. Line this up. Okay, so it looks like a pinwheel, a big pinwheel. So any way that you want to do it, you could do it like that. So I'm going to wait, I think, on if I want to put a magnet or not. I'm sure it's going to need something, but it's going to depend on my paper, what I'm going to put on here. So like that. So you could get by with just 2 if you do it that way. But I'm not going to put the magnets on until I know what papers I'm putting on. So remember to, I'm going to make myself a note, add magnets Okay, so that I remember. And this is page 2A. So you may not see me actually adding the magnets. I'll do them the exact same way as I've done before. If I decide to do this layout here, a magnet will go on this flap and underneath here, or you could actually put it to the back of the page, so then you could maybe switch things up a bit. But anyway, that is that page there. I've been adding pattern paper into my album, and I thought I would pop in and add this video clip in to show you what I decided to do for closure for page 2A. So I took this 4x6 cut apart, I matted it to the teal mirror card paper, or what is that called? Pearlescent card that I got in a design team package, and then I matted that to the piece of the cardstock. So it has 3 layers here, the cut apart, the teal, and then the cardstock. And then I'm going to put a magnet set on the back right here and about right here. So put a magnet at the top and the bottom. I'm hoping that that's going to be enough to hold everything down. So I'm going to put tape on those as soon as I find my tape. Okay, there it is. So this is one way to make a closure for this particular type page that has all the flaps that fold out. So got that. Now then, I'll attach these other magnets to it. Okay, so I have these. So now I'm going to have to take my pencil, and it doesn't matter how these flaps go. I just want to make sure that I like where they're at, like centered. Pretty much. Let's see here. About 1.5. Okay, that's about right. Needs to go up a little bit there. That's about right. Okay, so I'm going to have to hold this on the bottom and pull these 2 out. And I'm going to put a mark here and here. Oops, not on that. On the page. I need to erase that on my matting. Back here where I'm sitting, I couldn't see. There we go. Then I'm going to hold this up here at the top, pull this one out, and this one down, and then I'm going to mark this. Oops. Stay where you belong. Okay, so I have those markings to pretty much show me where to put it. So I'm going to put glue on my magnets. And then I'm going to line this card up here, here, and right there. Get them pretty straight. Press down so I get the markings for the magnets. Put some glue on there. Place them back down. And then I will double check them before I'm going to tape it, and then I'll double check that it fits the way I want. So I'm going to put tape on them. It doesn't matter about those pencil marks because this is going to be covered with patterned paper. So that's okay. It's a little crooked. Let's see if we can move this one. That's how we're going to do that. So let's close it back up any way you want to. and then this will attach down, and then of course I'm going to put pattern paper on this, and then I will put pattern paper on that page on the back, on the inside there. So that's how you put a magnet closure on there. And so I'll keep working on this. Page 2B is going to have another full flap, so we cut one more at 7.5 by 10, and we're going to score the 7.5 at a 1/2 inch. Okay, we're also going to have a belly band, which I cut this out of one full sheet of 12 by 12. This one is cut out of some leftover cuts, so this is the belly band, and we cut that at 8.5 by 3.5. But I want to make sure it fits within the fold, so I'm going to trim off just a tiny bit, like 1/16 of an inch. So instead of 8.5, I'm going to back it off a 1/16, just to make sure. So I trimmed off just a tiny bit. Now then, the height is 3.5, so it was 8.5 by 3.5, and I trimmed off the ends just a 1/16 of an inch. So put it in your trimmer with the 8.5, or the trim down 8.5 at the top, and score it a 1/2 inch on this end. Then flip it all the way around and score at a 1/2 inch. That's to keep your 1/2 inch intact on both ends. So that's your belly band, okay? Then I'm going to put some photo mat flips that are for 4 by 6 photos, so they're going to end up being 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. I cut 2 that are 4 3/4 by 6 1/4, and 2 that are 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. So we're going to take the 4 3/4 one. Let me make sure I get the right one here. I think this is this 4 3/4. Yeah. Take your 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. Just double checking. 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. And we're going to score the 4 3/4 side at a 1/2 inch. There's 2 of those. So when you fold and burnish this, you will now have 2 flaps that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, but they're got the hinge on the long side. This should hopefully make sense, should fit in with the way I'm thinking, I'm hoping. These 2 are cut at 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. Now this one's 4 1/4 by 6 3/4, and we're going to score the 6 3/4 side at a 1/2 inch. So I get myself all mixed up here. So this is the longer one and shorter this height, so we do it this way. Okay, so now we have these that are also 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, but the hinges are on the short side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our page and see what we can do. So this is going to be the back side of your page 2, which is 2B. So here's 2A, where we have not added the magnets yet. So we flip it over, have the hinge on the right, the pocket opening on our left. Okay, let's take we need to fold and burnish our score lines. This is the flap. Big page flap, and it's going to go right here on the left side. Okay, burnish. Okay, so open it up. I'm going to take my belly band. I'm going to fold and burnish these hinges both towards the same direction. So you've got it like this. And that's going to go right in here. And because I trimmed it down, that's going to help keep it away from the hinge and the fold here of the page, or the flap. So I'm just going to put glue on each 1/2 inch. And I'm just eyeballing it, getting it where I want it, getting it straight enough. Oops. Okay, burnish that in. And that is a belly band, and that falls over it like that. Now then, these are going to go in after our page is patterned. So let's see here. I want to go this way or this way. And it's going to depend on which way you want it to go. Do you want it to go like this, or do you want it to go like this? Because they're going to fold out. So I think I'm going to plan on having the bottom one be portrait, so the next one is going to be touch that up. So they're all going to end up being the same direction, all portrait. So it depends, do you want portrait or horizontal, and they're just going to be opening out. So I'm going to do portrait for mine. It can be changed at the end, you know, when you get ready to put it in the book. It doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting glue on the shorter hinge here and matching it up on top of the one that has the hinge on the left. I'm going to try to line them up, make sure they're even. Burnish that. Well, let's see here. Didn't get it as even as I wanted. Look a little more even. Could be the way I cut it. That one is not even. Let me try the other one. Must be the way I cut it. I'm going to try this one and see how it looks. The fold should go along the top edge of this one and kind of match up. I'm going to burnish it down. They're off just a little bit. I may have to trim these up once I get them all together. So that one, we've got that hinge there. This one opens up this way. And then I'm going to stack this one on top. So you can just do it several different ways. Put this on the cut edge, which is opposite of where I put the starting hinge. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Just got this one that's short. I'm just going to have to trim them. See that where it's off right there? I'm going to put this in my trimmer and trim it down. it should have been. Should be 6 1/4. That's the problem. These trimmers don't have the mark where you can see it. So that's better. I trimmed about that much off. So I was off a little bit. So it should be 6 1/4 still. Yeah. Okay. So let's get our bearings about us. So we have the first one has the hinge on the left side. Then we have a hinge on the top. Then we have a hinge on the right. And this one should have, what was it? Top. I think I'm going to do the bottom. Does that need trimmed? We'll see. I'm going to put this one on the bottom, the one that I was having trouble with at first. Okay, line it up. And burnish. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's off a little bit though. I think it's crooked. This thing's crooked. Let's see if I can straighten it. Okay, that looks better. Now then, when we put it in the book, it's going to attach just on this one side, like this. Okay, so once you have it assembled, this is what's going to attach to the page, just this 1/2 inch. Now, if you want to do it before you do your pattern paper, you can attach it to either the left side, the bottom, on the edge, or the top, or even the right side like that. Now you are going to have to put probably a tie closure or some kind of swing closure. There's a lot here, I think, too much probably for a magnet. You could put a magnetic closure if you wanted to with a little gusset on it. I haven't decided yet what I want to do. It's going to depend on what I'm decorating. So I will probably pop back in, even though I'm not going to show you adding the pattern paper and everything to this album. I may pop back in and show you what I do with this one. But I'm just saying, if you want to go ahead and assemble this into your book and do something later, you would add your tie closure, and then you would go ahead and glue it down here or wherever you want to position it. Once it's in the book, what it's going to do is it's going to fold down like that. Then you're going to fold it this way. You're going to take it, see here, down, over, and go back up, up. So it's kind of a funny way to do it, but maybe I've got it folded wrong. See here. So if I bring this down, I can see those photos. I can bring those photos over. I can do photos like that. You can do that. So see, you can open it up different ways. So this is going to be attached. Where's my pencil? Page 2B. Attached to 2B. Add closure. So I remember to do that. So this is my page 2B. So you can hang on to this and finish it all up while you're doing your pattern paper. And what I'm going to do is just clip this in just like that, and it's also help hold all this down. I decided before we moved on to page 3A on 2B, here underneath this flap in here, I'm going to take this off for now, set this aside. I want to put 2 angle pockets opposite the belly band. So I have cut a square here that is from the cutoff, some of the leftover papers, 4.5 by 4.5, and I'm going to score it at a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Okay. One more. So you score the square 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Then take your trimmer and from one point to another point, slice that into triangles. And now you already have your score lines for your pockets. So go ahead and fold those. And you're going to see where you need to do some trimming. Now we're going to want to trim this at an angle here where the little square is on both points, right there like that. Then go ahead and fold up those sides. Now you see where the wings stick over? You're just going to take your scissors and trim those off. And there's your pocket there. Same way, trim these little excess wings off. Okay, so throw that away, the little bits, and then we can take our page and we're going to open up here across from our belly band. We're going to put one here in the corner and one down here in the corner. They should pretty much fit. I'm going to put glue on each 1/2 inch here. I'm trying to get most of the components in the book before any patterned paper is added, so that you can make your book ahead of time and not have to worry about where everything goes. You can just go back and add your patterned paper, except for this one here. But like I said, if you wanted to, you could just attach it on the side and be done with that. I kind of want it in the middle, so that's just something you have to decide what you want to do on that one. So glue on this pocket as well. And line it up so that it's kind of butted up where that fold is. And it should just barely, if at all, overlap the other side here. Let me see. Make sure I'm lined up. Got to get the bottom here. Okay. Burnish there like that. So that should fold down. And then we will put this, clip this back together. For page 2B, I'm going to go ahead and add the patterned paper to the front of this flap, so I can go ahead and show you how to attach, how I'm going to attach this flip, photo mat flip. Now remember, I told you if you want to make it simple, you can just attach it to the side of your page and then add your patterned paper to cover this. I'm going to do a cut on mine and float it in the center. So that's optional, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So I have cut my pattern paper. Now I cut mine 1/8 of an inch smaller than the width and the height. So this is 10 inches, so this is 9 7/8. This is 7, so this is 6 7/8. So it's just going to have a very narrow border here. And I'm going to bring in that paper so I can see the flap. But before we do that, I do want to round the corners of my main flap here with a 10 millimeter. Okay, I do have a pocket in there. I forgot about that. So we may just round that top corner. I'm going to leave this one. It should have been rounded before I put my pockets on, but I'm going to be fine with rounding just that corner. So on my pattern paper, I just round the one corner here. Okay, so that's going to attach there. But before we attach it, we need to make a slit with our craft knife for this. And then we also need to attach our ribbons. We're going to have a ribbon closure on this one. So I've chose the blue to go with these flowers. So let's see where we want to put this. Kind of centered. So this is, I'll line this up on my grid. This is 10 inches, just under 10 inches. So back it off a little bit right there. And this one is 6 and a quarter. That'd be about right. Okay, and I'm looking at it here to see if that is where I want it. Pretty close here. Okay, that's going to work right there. So this is where the flap is. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw me a line right here. Where I can see it. And I'm going to turn this now. I'm going to take my ruler, a metal ruler, and attach it to the end here. Right here in this blue flower. And down to this blue flower. Take your craft nut, make sure you have a mat on your table. And just cut from that one point to the next. Okay, so now we have a slit. I'm going to take my eraser, erase my pencil mark so we don't see that later. Crooked. Okay. Hopefully it's not crooked. If it is, we're going to straighten it a little bit. So let's slide this in and see how we did. Okay, that looks about right like that. Okay, so before we attach that in, let's attach a ribbon here on this side. So I tied a knot and I've crinkled this up. So I'm going to turn this over and I want this attached about center right there. So I'm going to take my score tape. I'm going to attach that down. Okay. So then we're going to lift this up. Put this flap inside that slot. I've got the ribbon on here so that it can wrap around. Make sure it's lined up where we want it. Didn't get it quite as centered as I wanted, but I'm going to be okay with that. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to glue this down to the back. Over, make sure it is where I still want it. Okay, burnish that. And on the back, we'll burnish that. Okay, and it's attached. Just making sure. Then on the back side of this, we need to put our other ribbon, and it will be covered by pattern paper later. go ahead and get that on. And then we tie this. Of course, I'll be adding pattern paper to this photo mat. During my off camera when I do that. Okay, so that's it. I'm a little off. This is a little, I don't know how I did that, but I'm fine with that. That's okay. Next we get the page 2B, and just on this flap, and it's got this yellow paper under here so you can see. So this glues down onto that. Okay, so we put glue on the back of this. We're going to go ahead and take this paper off the back of that tape. And we put glue on the paper. Okay, and now we're going to line this up. Remember, it's got a very narrow margin. You can cut yours whatever you want your margins to be, but like I said, I want real narrow, and so I cut it an 1/8 of an inch smaller height and width. So then we burnish this down, and then we have this on this page just like that. So that is how you attach a floating photo mat flap onto your page. For page 3A, first we're going to make a pocket, a really short pocket. So from some of the cutoffs that I had left over, I cut 8.5 by 2.5 tall. But then I went back in, like I have been, and just trimmed a tiny bit off of this 8.5 so that make sure that it fits in good. So put your 8.5 in at the top where you have trimmed off just a tiny bit, score it a 1/2 inch, turn so that you have the 2.5 at the top, score it a 1/2 inch, turn and do the other short end so that you have your full 1/2 inch hinge or attachment. Then go ahead and angle cut your corners where the lines intersect, like that. And so that will make our little pocket that's going to hold some cards that are going to keep our gatefold flaps. So we're going to make a couple of gatefold flaps, keep them closed on page 3A. So we're going to burnish this. So this is our pocket. Now to make our gatefolds, I took a full sheet of 12 by 12. I cut it at 9 by 7.5. So I only need one of those. Cut one. And then I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to put the 9 in at the top. I'm going to score it a 1/2 inch. And at 8.5. Okay. Now then, this is going to make a gatefold flaps. So we need to cut this or do this in half. So I'm going to take my trimmer, because this was 9. So the halfway mark or halfway is going to be 4.5. 4.5 is half of 9. Cut it just like that. So now we have two that are identical with the score marks. But we may have to trim them to make them fit. But we're going to go ahead first and burnish our 1/2 inch on each one. And then we'll fit it into our book before we do any trimming on this side here. So we have that. Then I want another flap on the inside for a photo, like a photo mat flap. And it's going to attach at the top. Now I want this to be 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I cut one at 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. I'm going to score the 4 3/4 side at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now that's going to make a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 single photo mat inside our page. So let's grab our page. So we have here a new base page. Let's put the hinges to the left, opening to the right. Okay. We're going to put our pocket on first. So I'm going to take my glue, put glue on just the bottom one first, the bottom 1/2 inch. And we're going to attach it right here on the bottom, the bottom fold of the pocket along the bottom of the page. Line it up side to side. All right, burnish it right here on the bottom. Open it up and burnish. And then here, I don't want anything snagging up in there. So I'm going to put my tape, clear tape, right there. Okay, now we can go ahead. Oop, that one's too long there on that side. Let me trim that tape off. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and glue the pocket onto the page. And if you prefer on yours to wait until you put your patterned paper on to glue your pocket completely on, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and, for this one, get it on there. Get rid of that piece of tape there. Okay, burnish the sides of your pockets. Okay, so now for our gate folds. Now they're going to have a gap here, and that's what I wanted. But what we need to do is lay these on here and dry fit. And we can see that they're going to overlap. Now if you want to leave them overlapping, you can do that. But I think I want an actual gate fold, so I'm going to try to see how much I need to trim off each one. This one on this side. This one on this side. And it has a teeniest little gap. I think that'll be fine. Okay, let's glue this one on. Put this on the left one. Put it up here to the top and to the far side on your left here. Make sure it's straight up here at the top. I'm going to burnish that down. Still need to clean that up just a tiny bit right there. This one will go on this other side. All the way up to the top. Yeah, there's not really a gap there. They fit. Okay. Burnish. Okay, so we got it. Got a good fit there on there. Now then, this will be held closed with some photo mat cards. But this other flap now is going to go behind here at the top. And it is a photo mat flap. So I'm just going to put my glue on it. Turn this around so I can see. Put this on the grid. go. I want to center it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Right there on the top. Burnish that. So that flap is inside like that. These close down over it. Now we're going to look in our cutoffs that are left over. See what we've got here. Cut a couple of mats so that we'll have them already cut. So this one is. Let's do 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And that's going to fit right in there, like that. Okay, so we have one of each size, a 4 by 6 and a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So that's going to hold it down like that. So that is page 3A. Okay, and we're ready to move on. Now I'll probably, after I have all my stuff done, cut one that's even bigger that will go further up and hold this down. So now we're ready to do page 3B. Page 3B, first we're going to make some top flaps. So you need to cut from one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, cut 2 that are 5 1/2 by 9 1/2. So making sure 5 1/2 by 9 1/2. Okay. And you're going to score your 9 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, on both of these, 9 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish these. So one goes on the top and one will go on the bottom of our page 3B, like this, overlapping each other. Okay, then we want side flaps. Now we're going to do this like we did the prior page, except I think I miscalculated. I gave the wrong measurement and I had to trim more down. So cut from one sheet of cardstock, cut one piece that is 8 1/2 by 7 1/2. We're going to score the 8 1/2 side at 1/2 inch and at 8. Then I'm going to cut it right in half. So this is 8 1/2. So we're going to cut it at 8 1/2 at 4 1/4 to make it the center. And then we're going to dry fit it, and if we have to trim some, we will. Did I get this wrong? No, that looks about right. Maybe one's a little bigger. Nope, looks okay. Okay, score these. Fold and burnish these. They're already scored. Okay, we got that. So these are our side flaps. Then we're going to add flaps on top of these. So these should be, I have them at 3 3/4. Let's see here. It's a little bit wider. Yeah, I cut mine at 3, and I cut 2 that are 3 3/4 by 8. And I'm going to score the 8 inch side at 1/2 inch on both of these. And hopefully I've got them cut right so they will fit my side flaps. So we do this, go ahead and burnish this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put them on the page. So the back side, we've got, this is 3A, flip it over. You should have your hinge to the right for 3B. So we're going to put one at the bottom. And we're going to center it so that there's, it's an inch, about an inch on each side. So take my glue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, an inch from the left side, and 1, 2, 3, 4 little squares. I'm using my grid. Line it up here at the bottom so there's an inch from the score line here and an inch from the outer edge. Once we get that on, then we'll put the other one on. Just turn this around and we should be able to just attach it on and line it up with the one we've already put on. So glue on our 1/2 inch. It lines up. Oops. It's not going to line up if I don't hold it down. These go back in the pocket. So we have the top flaps like this. This opens up. Then we have the two that are like gatefold again. They go here and here. I'm just going to dry fit. See if I need to trim anything off. I think they'll be okay. I'm going to go ahead and put one down. They're just really, it would be very little bit that we cut off. So I'm going to put one down. I'm going to center it. Let me line this page up here. It's a 10-inch page. And these are, what are these? 7.5? Yeah. 7.5, so 10 inches, 1, 2.5, 1 1/4 from the bottom, so 1 1/4. So this should be right about there. Line it up on the left side here. Burnish it down. The other side should go about the same, right across from it. Go ahead and put my glue on that. And before gluing it down, if it looks like you need to trim it off, then you would do that. But thinking mine is going to fit. Okay, make sure they're even. And burnish them on the inside as well. Okay, so we have that. Then I wanted these attached on top. It's even. So glue on this hinge here. Turn it so I can see it. So it goes right on the top edge here of this flap. Make sure they fit, line up. moved over just a tad. Make sure it's not hanging off your edge. All right, that's even there, I think. So this flips up and then it folds out. And then this one will go the same on this side. Now this one might need trimmed. Hopefully not. I'll go ahead and go with it. So it attaches to the top of this side flap. Make sure they're even and burnish. It's got overhangs just, I don't know if I can cut that a tiny bit on this hinge edge right here. So I should have trimmed that a little bit. Now it's kind of crooked. Now I'm going to take that off right up here. Take my tool and I'm going to just peel this off, I think, and re-trim that just a tiny bit. I think it needs it. Probably needed it here as well on this one, but we'll see what we can, if we can make do with that. So I'm just going to trim a tiny bit. And fit it back on there. Okay. There we go, that lifts up. These close in here like that. This goes down, this goes up. Now then, we will need a magnet in here. So let me decide. I want to try to do it on this, the bottom flap here, and then underneath all these flaps. So I'm going to see if they work. So let me get my magnets. One set of magnets. Okay, so I was going to do one set, but I'm thinking maybe two will give me just a little more strength. So about 3/4 of a way down, one on each side. Just like this. I need some tape. Okay, so now we're going to open this top flap and these side ones, and we're going to drop this one down. So we put the glue on the magnets that we're going to attach to these others. So put a magnet on each. Okay, and then your glue on the magnets. Remember, these are the tonic ones that don't have, I don't use the little stickers. I just use the glue. And I'm going to drop this down. Get my position. You could let them dry if you wanted to. I'm just going to go ahead where I can see where it marked it. Grab these magnets and pop them down. Line them back up where the mark is. Add some tape. Okay, then in, down, and down. So hopefully that will hold. So that is page 3B. This goes back in here, just like that. So we have 3A and 3B, and now we're on to our page 4A, our last page set, and we'll get that done. So for page 4A, I'm going to make another page flap, but this one, instead of making it shorter in width-wise, I'm going to try to make it the width of the page. So I've cut a piece of cardstock. You need one full 12 by 12 sheet, cut it at 8 by 10, and score the 8 at a half inch, which will make it 7.5 wide. Sorry. Put your 8 in at the top, score at a half inch. So that should make a full page, hopefully, that fits across the base page. Okay, then for that we're going to add flaps. So I cut two that are 4 1/4 by 6 3/4, and we're going to score the 6 3/4 at a half inch on both of these. Okay, like that. Go ahead and fold and burnish those. And then we're also going to make a double angle pocket with a small one and a bigger one. So what I did for that, I did take a scrap cutoffs that I had left over. This one is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then I cut from another full sheet of cardstock one that is 7 by 7. So we're going to score a half inch on all 4 sides of both of these pieces. One's a small pocket and one's a bigger angle pocket. Now, I just need one angle pocket each for this page. So we'll save the others and possibly use them on the cover, inside front cover, or maybe the other side of this page. So I'm going to score all 4 sides at a half inch. Okay. We're making the angle pocket just like we did earlier. Okay, so we've got those. Let's go ahead and put this away. And we'll go ahead and take the trimmer so we can cut at an angle, point to point. I'm going to go ahead and miter cut now. I'm just going to cut point to point, from this point to this point first. I'm going to set one aside, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold this one and then cut off what we don't need. So we fold it, and then we're going to cut away this square down here like that. Fold this and then cut away the excess from the half inch. So now we have that angle. This is the same way. We're going to cut this on our trimmer from one point to the other. Make sure they line up in the groove where they're cut. Oops, that one slipped on me, so line that back up. Set one aside. Okay, angle cut the square down here at the bottom. Fold it and put the trimmer out of the way. Okay, burnish. And then also trim this excess off right there. Okay, then we have our two different sized angle pockets for our page. This aside. Okay, now then, if you line these up, you can see one is smaller than the other, and that is what I wanted, like that. So we've got a pocket here and a pocket here, and they'll go on that inside of that flap. So let's take our final base page, put our hinge to the left, our pocket to the right. We're going to take this full page and we're going to put it here on the right side. Put your glue on your 1/2 inch. And I'm going to, where the pocket is, line it up on this right side this time. Make sure the edges of the fold of the pocket of the flap line up to the page. Right there. Burnish down. So it closes up like that. Now what I will probably do is, I think I'll go ahead and do it now, and some other pages I will probably be doing it as well, is around the corners on the flaps. So I'm using the 10mm like that. Just kind of rounds it, and that way you can see that there is a flap there. Okay, then we take these flaps, and this is going to attach to the top right there on the right side. I'll turn it so I can look at it. Line it up. Make sure it's straight on that edge. Burnish that. Turn it. This one will go down here at the bottom. Line it up. Straight. They should line up. Okay. Burnish this bottom one. That's the flaps. Okay. Now we're going to open this up, and we're going to put our angle pockets in here like this. So we put, let's do the big one first. We're going to put glue on the 2 1/2 inch hinges. Make sure it goes along the bottom and along the inside of the fold of the score line. You don't want it going over your 1/2 inch section here. You want to stay within the fold line of the flap. Just like that, so that it still closes up. And this one goes on top, right there. So glue on that. Oops, put it on both of them. Glue right here. And burnish. And there's our 2 angle pockets here. There's the flap there. Now then we will want to probably put a magnet on these flaps here. Don't think we need it on this big one. That you can put one if you want to. That's something that you can decide as you're doing your patterned paper. I'm just going to put one set on the small flaps here. So I want it like this. I'm going to put my glue here about 3/4 of the way down on the center. Add a magnet. Get them on there. Don't need both. And my glue again. Touch that magnet down. Get some tape on it. Glue on the second magnet. Close the flap down, make sure it lines up and it's laying flat. Open this back. See where the glue put a mark. Add that magnet. Make sure the opposing part is facing up. Probably never told you that before, but that's the only way it's going to work. And then tape and down. So there's that one. And that is page 4A. Okay, we have one more page to do, and then we'll do the insides of the pockets. The insides of the front and back covers. Okay. Okay, after looking at my page, I decided that this flap needed to be trimmed down, so I put it in the trimmer and just trimmed off 1/4 inch off the edge, rounded the corners again, so now you see it's 1/4 inch from the fold line. I think that's going to work better for us, so I'm going to adjust this on the cutting guide so you don't have to trim once you've attached yours down. It will be in the cutting guide what you need to cut. So I just wanted to make that update here in the video so that you know that we're trimming this down 1/4 inch shorter in width. For page 4B, we're going to make a pocket with waterfalls on top of it that goes on the back of this page 4B. So I've already done the pocket, but I'm going to show you. You cut out from one sheet of cardstock, one sheet of 12 by 12, cut out one piece that's 6 by 11. And you're going to score your 6-inch side at 1/2 inch all the way down. Turn it so that the 11's across the top. Score it 1/2 inch on this side and at 10.5 on the other side. Then you're going to angle cut where the corners are, where the intersection is, fold and burnish those lines for your pocket. Okay, so that's the pocket. Then for the waterfall, cut from another full sheet of the cardstock from the 12 by 12. Cut another one that is cut 6 out of that one sheet that are 5.5 by 4, 5.5 by 4, and then you're going to score your 4-inch side on all of these at 1/2 inch. Now it will hold more than 6, so if you want to take that other half of that paper that you cut from your pocket where it was 6 inches wide, you can make 3 more at least, I think, if you want to. So that's totally up to you. I'm going to see how it looks with just the 6, and then I will decide if I want to do more. So I'm going to go ahead and score all of these. You want to make sure you're scoring on your 4-inch side at 1/2 inch. I decided to take that 6 by 12 that was left over from making the pocket and go ahead and make 3 more. So I'm going to score my 4-inch side on these 3 at 1/2 inch also. So now we have a total of 9. Total of 9 that are 5.5 by 4. Okay, so we have those. We're ready to fold and burnish those. You do not miter any of these. Just give them a good burnish when you're folding them. Okay, so we have 9 of those. Let's take our pocket. Make sure this is the top where the fold is. The other fold is on the left. So you have your unfolded side here on the right. And I'm going to turn this so I can see. I'm going to take the fold of my first one and I'm going to place it right up against that folded edge, and this should fit right at 5.5 on that pocket. Should not be any hangover, or it shouldn't be too short either. So glue on this 1/2 inch here and line it up right there in the corner. Make sure this is straight on the edge, straight there. And burnish. So this is going to give you a space for 3x5 photos. It's just like that. So open this up, take the next one, you're going to glue it right up against this first one, right on the fold. Just a little bit. So I need to move this one. I don't like that. I didn't get it perfectly lined up. So it's real important to get this first one lined up right. So I just peeled it up a little bit, and I'm going to make sure I'm bringing it down along that edge, that top edge. Mine was off just a hair, and it does make a difference. Now then, this should fit better. Okay. Straight on that edge. Okay, glue on this 1/2 inch. Butt up the fold of this one to the cut line of the one that's already down. Just making sure it's lined up all the way across. And keep adding them on that way. Okay, so we have the 9 waterfalls there. We still have a little space down here. You could add more if you wanted to. I am not. I'm going to put a closure piece on here, a magnetic closure piece for these waterfalls. So let me grab one of my scraps, and then we'll make a closure piece for this. To make the magnetic closure, we need 1 piece of the cardstock that is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, so that I can add one of the cut aparts that are 3 by 4. You'd use whichever one you wanted. And then we need the flat piece. So this is out of scraps, 7 1/2 by 2, and we're going to score the 7 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch to attach it down. Okay, so we have that. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our pocket onto our page by adding our glue to the bottom 1/2 inch flap here. So your hinge of your page is to the right. Put the fold of this pocket to the far left and make sure it lines up top and bottom. And go ahead and burnish that. Okay, then when that flips up, we burnish it under here. Now then we can put tape on here if you want to keep it from snagging. Just a little more down here on the bottom edge. Okay. Now we seal up the pocket. We put glue on these side ones, side 1/2 inch pieces. And bring these over and line up down here at the bottom. Burnish that. Turn it around and burnish this top edge here. I'm going to lift this up so I can get down in there and burnish and seal up that pocket there on the side. Okay, so now we do have a pocket here and we have our waterfall. So this closure piece is going to attach right about here, about halfway. So glue on the 1/2 inch. And we're going to place it down here at the bottom along the bottom edge. Get it straight. Maybe scoot over just a tad. Okay, get it centered pretty good. Okay, burnish that. So that's going to be covered by paper when you put the paper down. This comes up, and this piece is going to attach over this. I'm going to kind of line it up even with one of these pieces on the bottom here. So about the fourth bottom edge of the 4th flap here. And glue on this. Line that up. Okay, so we have that. Now this is going to be covered by patterned paper and this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. It's not necessary that we put it on right now, but this is the one that I want to use, and I've already cut it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the front, and then the other side, I will decide the back side once I've added my other pattern paper. Let me turn this around. Okay, burnish that on. It says, kisses, cuddles, baby, snuggles. Now we'll add a magnet, so grab your magnet. So one set should be enough. Magnet, I'm going to put this about 3/4 of an inch down, about right here. Add some tape. Attach this magnet. Add my glue. Flatten everything down. Bring this flap over. Get everything flattened out. That's where we want it. Bring this up. Add glue where this marked. And take this magnet and stick it in. Tape it. And bring this over. And there is our pocket with our, this is page 4B. And we are going to make a booklet that tucks inside of this pocket for more photos. But our pages are assembled. So let me do some measuring and make a folding booklet, you know, a photo mat insert. It's just a folded piece to go inside. So take one full 12x12 sheet of cardstock and I cut it down to 9 3/4. You can make it a little shorter if you want to. Right now I'm going to do the 9 3/4. And then take your 12-inch at the top and score in half at 6. Okay, fold it in half, burnish. Okay, and I am going to round the corners, so I'm going to do them all separately. Each end here on each side. There, this one on the back. Oops. Okay. And here. Okay, so those are rounded, so that's a booklet. Of course, it'll be patterned and everything, and that can just slide into the pocket right like that. So if you wanted it a little shorter, you could make it shorter. I'm going to see how this height works for me. And so next we're going to go through our scraps and make some photo mats, and then we'll be putting these pages into our book. Okay, so I have some of my scraps. Yours may be different than mine. From what the cutoffs from making our pages. So I have my corner rounder here and my corner rounder and my angle punch. So like I have this one here that is 6 3/4 by 2.5. I'm going to make that into a tag. So I'm just going to take the biggest angle and punch it the top 2 corners, and then round the bottom 2. And then I'm opening up page 1A here. And we have these pockets here. So pocket here, which is real deep one, we're going to put something bigger in there. So this tag can go there. This is 4 by 5.5. These are just scraps that were left over. I'm going to go ahead and round the corners. And we're going to tuck that in there. Another one here is pretty good size. 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. Tuck that in there. Of course, we'll be adding patterned paper and everything to these. I'm wondering if I want to do photo corners or not on some of this. I may do that with the patterned paper if I add any. Let me see, once I've already rounded these, see if I can do that. Yeah. So if you want to make it so you can just really easily insert photos into these mats, go ahead and after you've rounded them, punch the photo insert corners. I like that. So that makes it, especially if you're giving this as a gift, so that they know where to put photos in like this. So that's real pretty like that. Now then up here in the top, we need a bigger tag photo mat. So from another full sheet of cardstock, or if you have anything left, I'm going to cut this one down at 6 inches. I'm going to cut it down to 8.5, I think. So then that leaves me that 8.5. For a big photo, you can do more than one, of course. I'm going to punch the photo corners here. You could do more than one photo if you were just going to mat it on there, but I'm going to round it. And that goes inside. Should fit in this top big one at the top. See, just like that. It just pokes out like that. We can make some even longer if we want to later on. So that's inside page 1A. So 2A has no pockets in it, but 2B, when you pull this back like this, we have the little angle pockets. So some of these pieces may fit in that really good. Let's see here. I like this big one here that I have. Of course, yours may be different, or you may need to cut some. So this one is 5 3/4, 5 3/4. I'm going to round it also. So I'm going to keep, doing the same style on all these. If you want decorative corners, you can use a different punch, whatever you want on yours. So that fits down in there like that. Let's do a tall tag in there. Whoops. So I'm going to round the bottom 2 corners. Angle the top 2. If you have a die that you want to make your tags out of, you could do that. So that's going to slip down in there. We'll have that decorated up. Do we want anything else? Maybe a smaller one? Into a smaller one. I'll give you the measurements of this one. But these are all scraps that were already left over, cut off already. I didn't change the sizes of any of them. 4 by 4.5. So before you cut new papers, check all your scraps and get your odd and end photo mats. Oh, I messed that one up. We're going to have to redo that one. Sorry. What was that measurement? I want this one smaller. I want it to be 4.5. So it's going to be 4.5 by 4 1/4. This one I messed up. 4.5 by 4 1/4. Be careful with your punch. I didn't get it lined up right. Got it offset. So that would not work at all. Okay, now I'll round them. Okay, so then that slips in front of this one. All right, there. Okay, over here we have a belly band, so we could do a large photo mat type. So this is something you would have to probably recut from a scrap, a bigger scrap, or another full sheet. So I'm going to use another full sheet, and I'm going to make 2. I'm going to cut it at 6. Cut one at 6 by 9. Six by 9.5 is what I'm going to cut. It's a pretty big one. It's going to go in like that. And this other 6 is going to be 7. So that gives me this photo mat here. So I'm going to just round the corners on these. I'm not going to make them have photo corners on them because I'll be putting paper on it. Kind of like making layouts on it. So there's that one. I may do a booklet in there too. So these 2 would go under the belly band. And of course, when I do my decorating, I may make a stopper down here with like a saying or something so that nothing falls out. But I can also do a booklet. Take another sheet. I'm going to cut it to 8. Six by 8. And I'm going to score it in half. So the 12-inch goes in at the top. Score it at 6. Just making sure I get a good score there. Okay. I'm going to round all 4 corners. Fold it in half. Burnish. And now we have a photo booklet that will also go in the belly band. Okay, so that's page 2, 2A and 2B. Lay it like that. And now we'll see what we need in this one. This one we've already got a couple in here, so we just need to do, I had showed you those earlier. I'm going to do the photo corners. Those go in the pocket of this one, around this one here. And keep those 2 right there for now. If you wanted to do another one, you could. I could add a bigger, the square one here. Do this one. This one is a 4 by 5.5. there's 3 in that one. So flip this over. Page 3B has this. Okay, so it doesn't have a pocket in it. So we'll just close that up. Oops, that goes like that. So there's 3A and 3B. And now let's look at 4. Flip up, flip up. Under here, we have pockets right here. So we have this big one here that is a 5 by 6. That one can go in there. Let's do this one as a tag. Well, let's do a big tall tag. So this one is 7.5 by 3. Around 2 of the bottom corners. Whoops. And angle the top 2. So that can slip in there as a tag. That little photo there, that's a 4 by 3 3/4. Not a perfect 4 by 4, but I'm going to stick it in there. Here, like that. Just this big one. Well, it's not a big one. I thought it was a big one. It's this one. It is 4 by 5.5. So just tuck that in there like that. This one is a 3.5 by 3.5. Put that one in there right there. Okay, so that's probably plenty for right now. Fold that back. And we've got this one here. We have a booklet in there. So all these right here that I have left, I will save. You know, I might need some more as I'm decorating. But that's just to give you an idea on how to do that. Now, what I'm going to check for now is where do I want to round anything, any of my corners on my flaps. So we've got the page 4B. It's fine like that. And this one, now you have to decide, do you want to round these? And I think that I do. So I'm going to go ahead and round, whoops, get all the trash out of there so I can do it right. Round these corners. Of course, when you add your pattern paper, you will want to round them there as well, or your mats as well. I'm not getting it lined up very good. There we go. So those are rounded like that. So I do like that. 3B, I'm going to round these also. We have these deep flaps like these. I'm just looking. No, they're already attached down, so I am not going to round these. I'm going to leave them square. Could have done that before I attached them down. We've got these. I'm going to round these though. Flap in here. Okay, so there's that. We want to put our mats back in. So there's 3. This one I did not round, but this one I did. We've got our mats and tags in here, so this one's done inside. Flip this side. I think I'm going to round all of these. So that one. I'm not getting it quite right. There we go. There. Okay, one more. Sorry about that. Flipping everything around. Okay, I just didn't decide that I wanted to do that until after I had put everything together. And then on page 1B, we can round, if we want, these top flaps. I think I'm going to do it. Just give it a different look. Like that. So the ones underneath will not be rounded. Just the ones on the top. And then the front page, 1A, we're going to round this one. This flap. And this one. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to put these into our album cover. I'm going to clean all this up. We'll put these into the album cover, and then we will also make our flaps and the elements for the inside front cover of the album cover and the back inside. Okay, we're going to start putting the pages in, starting with page 1. And I want to make sure that I have a 1/2 inch spacing from the fold to the actual start of the page. So what you need to do on this, you're just going to glue this 1/2 inch down. No glue on that little 1/4 inch. So I folded it under to make sure that I am doing the 1/2 inch. And my placement, I have lined up my album cover so that I can see a 1/2 inch here on my grid. Where the dark line is, that's where the 1/2 inch is going to be. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to use glue. We're going to put the glue on just the 1/2 inch of the hinge, if my glue will come out. Here we go. It's really gotten thick. Okay, get my glue on, a pretty good amount of glue. We want to make sure this stays in. It's got to be able to handle the weight of the page. Okay, there, I need some glue. Okay. All right, now turn it over. We want to make sure we've got going the right direction. And I'm looking at where that line is right there. And up here. So you make sure your page lines up top and bottom nice and straight. So I'm double checking. So that is a 1/2 inch there. I'm going to burnish it right here. You're going to take your time putting each page set in. You don't want anything pulling loose. I'm going to lift up and burnish under here really well. Okay. So we've got that one in. I'm going to drop this down now. I'm going to keep burnishing. And then we're ready for page 2. And I like how everything's laying down nice and flat like that. So now we're ready for page 2A. Make sure it's 2A that's to the front. Same thing, we've got this folded back, and the fold of this little 1/4 inch now is going to go right up against the cut part of the hinge that was just put down. So we don't have to actually use the grid that much, as long as we keep this straight all the way across with this page. So glue, remember, a good enough amount to really hold this in. Make sure it's going the right direction. So the fold edge of that 1/4 inch goes right up against that cut edge of that hinge. So we have a 1/2 inch between. Make sure it's straight. Burnish that. Lift it up and burnish. Okay, so there's page 2 in. Same thing with page 3. Page 3A. It's going to do the same thing. Making sure everything stays straight. Flip it over and just on that 1/2 inch, put your glue. The fold of that 1/4 inch goes right up against that cut edge, so that you have a 1/2 inch in between. Make sure your pages stay straight. Burnish along that 1/4 inch. Lift it up. Burnish your 1/2 inch right there. And the last page, same thing. Flatten that down so you can see that 1/4 inch. Turn it over, glue on the 1/2 inch. Okay, line up the 1/4 inch fold right up against that cut edge of the hinge. So we got the 1/2 inch in there. Line up this page. Burnish. Lift it up. Burnish that 1/2 inch. Now then, this back one, I do end up having more space. I could have gone with a 2.5 inch spine, but I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of room for whatever I build on the back side here. So we actually have a little over an inch space between the fold here and this last page, but that's fine because we have the waterfall here and we have this. I just didn't want it to be really tight. So there's our pages in the book. Plenty of room in there for extra space in here on this section back here. Could actually put another page in there if you wanted to. And next we're going to work on what we're going to put here and what we're going to put on the back side. On the inside front cover of the album, we're going to put 2 full page flaps. So I cut 2 that are 8 wide by 10 tall. And we're going to score the 8-inch side on both of them at a 1/2 inch. Okay, there's one, and the other one at a 1/2 inch. Okay, then we're going to fold that and burnish. Okay, so let me move this scoreboard out of the way. And I am going to go ahead and round the 2 corners opposite of the score line with the number 10. Okay, so let's take the album. We've got our pages in, and we'll open this back, and so we know where the fold is of the spine, the cover. So this is where one's going to go, right along there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my glue on. The 1/2 inch. Okay, just make sure it's just a smidge away from that fold, and line up at the bottom and the top. Double check before I really press down and make sure everything, whoops, stays in place. Okay, fold line of the cover. Okay, that should be it. Let me see. Yeah, probably gonna have to add some more glue here. Let's see if it stays. Burnish inside here, get it nice and burnished. The cover folds, and then this one's going to attach to the outer edge along the edge of the cover. So I'll put glue on this one. Just like this. Make sure it's all straight. Okay, you don't want it sticking out anywhere. Lift it up and burnish. So now we have it like that. I'm going to have this one on the front. Then this comes up and this comes up. So this will have a magnet here. I'm going to use another small one. Okay, and we're going to glue it about center right there, about 3/4 from the edge, and add my tape as soon as I find it. Everything's been moved around now. There it is under my papers. this down. Glue on the magnet. Let's close it up. Tape. Okay, so there's that. And then on the inside, I'm thinking about, I had left over from when we made the other pockets of perhaps putting in this angle, double angle pocket. So let me decide on that, and I may go ahead and add some cardstock over this to kind of smooth this out. So I think I may do that. Here in this section, I cut a piece, one full sheet, cut it down 7/7/8 wide by 10, and covered the unfinished area in here just to smooth it out. I want to make sure it was nice and smooth. And then I angle cut these triangle pockets, and I folded the sides. And then, like we did before, you just need to trim the excess that's sticking out over the top, just like that, on both of them. And I'm going to put this short one down first, or the smallest one first. So I'm going to put it here, and then the big one underneath, I think. Is that how I did the other one? Better take a look. I have forgotten, and I do kind of want them the same, so where is that? What page? Not that one. Yeah, I don't even remember. Let me find the angle pocket. I forgot what page I put it on. I didn't think it was that one. Okay, so you put the bigger one down first. So let's get I'm going to put the glue on this bottom piece first, 1/2 inch. I'm going to attach it down right here at the bottom. Burnish that. And then I'm going to add some tape. I don't know if I did on the other one or not, but it's a good way to keep from anything snagging in there. Okay, now we're going to close this side up. Okay, now the smaller triangle. Do the bottom. Put that on the top of that. Line it up down here at the bottom. I'm also going to put some tape there. And attach the pocket. Okay, so there's some angle pockets there. And we'll cut some mats and things for that. That closes up like that. So that's the inside front cover. And next we'll work on the back one. For the inside back cover, I want an expandable accordion type pocket. So I have taken one 12x12 piece of cardstock, and I've cut down a piece that's 11 inches wide by 7.5 tall. So go ahead and cut that piece. Let me move my book out of the way, and I'll get the scoreboard And we'll score this and make our pocket, and then we'll also make a closure for it. So we're going to put this in at the top. We're going to score at on the 11-inch side at a half, one, and 1.5. Turn to your 7.5 side and score it just a 1/2 inch. Oops, got my finger in the way there and kind of skipped. Turn back to the other side on your 11-inch and score again at a 1/2 inch. 1, and 1.5. Okay, so that's the pocket. Let's fold up the score lines so that we can see them. I'm going to go ahead and score and burnish all the same way, and then we will change them up to make them the accordion that we need. So I just want to be able to see them right now, like this. And the bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do is where the 3 little squares are, we're going to cut along the score line at a very slight angle there, and then on this side at just a slight angle to cut away those the score line, so that we have that like that. So we'll do the same thing over here, up to the score line, and then this at an angle here. So you can cut out all 3 squares first and then do your angle if you want to, but you should have something that looks like that. Okay, so we'll throw this away. Now then, for your accordion, you're going to fold on the finished side. We're going to fold the first one under, the next one forward, and the last one back, so that you have this like that. So again, fold the first one under, the second one forward like that, and the next one back. So it's like a, like a fan. So then you have this down here for your accordion pocket, like that. So what I like to do is take my glue and I put a little bit of glue here on this inside the bottom one along that mitered angle, and attach this first one down. Just pinch it down and hold it to get it sealed up like that. So just go ahead and hold those and let them dry. I have to burnish it a little bit to make sure it sticks. Okay, once they're dry, then we're going to go ahead and put it in the book, and it's going to fold back like that. This one here does not want to stick down, so make sure it sticks. Okay, just like that. And then I burnish these with them folded to get a good crease there. So grab the book. So this should fit right in along this edge, the outer edge, like that. Now then, I'm going to go ahead, I think, and notch punch. You could use your envelope punch board if you want to, but I'm just going to center this and punch a notch in the top of the pocket like that, so that you can see where it's going to go. And then we're going to attach this down. So I'm going to put glue along the bottom edge first, but not up underneath that accordion piece there. And then on the outer ½ inch of this accordion fold on each side. Okay, so take it carefully, place those down, press it down so you can see where it goes, and line it up on the edge, and line it up here on the outer edge down at the bottom. Make sure it's straight. Hold it, burnish it. You've got a lot of thickness to go through, so really press down so that it catches. It's that under one that you want to catch. Okay, so there it is, like that. So there's our accordion type pocket, so it gives you a lot of room for documents and things. And then we have the extra space here in our cover from the back of our last page to allow for this thickness in here. So now I'm going to make a closure piece for this. For the closure piece, I cut a piece that is 8 by 8 1/4, but on the 8-inch side, I did cut off about a 1/16 of an inch. So just make it a little bit smaller so that it will fit over your pocket. So double check yours on the width, and then we're going to score that. But then I also decided I wanted another expandable pocket on the bottom. So I made it exactly the same way as this one. I cut it at 11 inches by 3 5/8 because that's the size width of a scrap I had. But you could use 3 1/2, whatever you want for your shorter pocket. And then score it the same way on the 11-inch side at 1 1/2, 1 1 1/2. Turn it half, 1 1 1/2, and a ½ inch on the bottom. Fold it up like this, and then you have this pocket. So now I need to punch the center. I lined it up with this one to get it pretty close to my center. Marked it with a pencil, and then I'll erase that. So that they both have a notch there. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this pocket, and then we'll make the closure flap. So we have a pocket for shorter things like photos and tags and photo mats, and then other documents and things can go in here. So there's our expandable pockets right there on the side. I need to make sure this is attaching down good though. Really burnish that, pressing hard. Take a look at it and make sure. Okay. Okay, so there's that. So let's score the closure piece. So make sure it's your 8 1/4 inch side. It's at the top. And we're going to score at 1/2 and 3/4. I'm thinking that'll be enough of a little gusset to allow for the extra space. We'll double check it and see. So we needed a longer flap because of that second pocket. So fold both of your score lines up and burnish. Like that. So let's bring the book in and see how we like the looks of this. So with the 1/2 inch attach at the top, and this will come down over it. And I think that will give it plenty of gusset space. If you wanted more, you could score another 1/4 inch. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to see how I like that. I'm going to scoot over and score one more 1/4 inch, so it also score at 1 inch. Makes the pocket just a little bit smaller, shorter, but that should still be fine. Burnish that. So we have a 1/2 inch to attach it, and then we have a 1/2 inch with a score line for our gusset at the top. So I'm going to put this down out of the way. So I do want to round the 2 bottom corners of the flap. I'm going to turn this sideways so we can see, or upside down. And the 1/2 inch, we're going to flatten it down. We're just going to put glue on the 1/2 inch here. And I glue this to the top edge of our cover on the inside here. Line it up with our pockets and burnish that. Of course, we will add pattern paper in there, and this will come over the pockets. Flatten that down like that. I have been working on my inside back cover, added my pattern paper to my accordion or expandable pockets and flap. And so even though I have the magnets on there, I'm afraid that as I add stuff into this, it's not going to catch. So I am going to put the button string closure, and I would have probably anyway because I like the decorative look of it. So I have selected 2 large buttons from the granny buttons. Use the bigger one on the bottom, and I did punch 4 3/4 inch circles out of the cardstock, and I've glued a circle to the backs of each of the big buttons, and then I put a circle here where I want to glue down my strings, closure pieces. And so I'm going to use, I've never done this before, we're going to give this a good try. We're going to glue a small button on each circle here to act as the spacer where you wrap the string. So I'm going to put glue on there. Art glitter glue is pretty strong, so I'm going to center this button right there. Put one in each of the cardstock circles. Okay, then I'm going to put glue on top of these buttons all the way to the edge. Make sure I'm getting plenty of glue on here. And I'm going to put the small one up here at the top. Just kind of stack it on there. And the big one here at the bottom. We're going to see how this works. We're going to let this dry. So I've let these dry for a couple of hours. I did add extra glue onto this one because it felt a little wobbly, but they feel pretty secure now. And I've decided I needed longer string, so I recut my string to about 22, 26, 27, 28, about 29, 30 inches. So I'm going to double this up, make the ends match. I'm going to tie a knot from the loopy part here. I just want that to be the finished part like that. So I've got a loop like that. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to tie it here at the bottom. Put my loopy end through where I've wrapped the bottom around. I did not tie knots in it this time on this one. Whoop. But I don't want to use up too much of my string. I just want to make sure I've got it knotted good so that it's going to be secure here on this bottom one. Okay, pull it up, tie it in a knot again. Okay, maybe a couple of times even, because you don't want it to come undone. So I've done three knots in it. Okay, that's the third one. Okay. Now I've got this little tail sticking out over here. I'm going to trim this off short underneath the button, like that. Now we have this one, so we can just wrap it around and have this loop hanging there. And there's our closure for our expandable pocket. So it's got lots of room inside there. I've added some mats and things. I'm going to add some more. This is a scrap of the about 4.5 inches scrap, 4.5 by 12, and I've folded in thirds where I've just got a little edge here. I did 2 of those, so 2 photo booklets like that. I got a larger tag in here, and I'll probably add some more stuff as well while I do my decorating. But for now, that is the inside back cover expandable pocket. While I was doing the walkthrough part on this album, I realized I probably didn't show you how to make this little storage folder that goes inside this pocket here. So I store it back here in the back. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these. So let me move this out of the way. So you're going to need to take a whole piece, another 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, and you're going to cut down to 11 1/4 by 9 1/2. So I've already cut mine, 11 1/4 by 9 1/2. Okay. So you want to take your 11 1/4 inch side and put it at the top, and we're going to score at 6 and 6 1/4. So let me score the 6 again. 6 1/4. Okay, so that's the folder and the flap with a little space here on the bottom for yours to be able to put stuff in it. Then you're going to turn to your 9 1/2 inch side, and I'm going to score it a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. 1/2 inch and 3/4. And then turn it all the way around. Score the other side the same, 1/2 inch and 3/4. And that should be all of your scoring that you need to do. So I'll move this out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and fold up these lines and burnish them on my bone folder here. Okay. So that I can see where they are. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish. The score lines. So that's the bottom, like that. And then we've got these side pieces, and we're going to do some cutting on this. I'm just folding and burnishing so I can see where my lines are. These are great to make if you want to just make one, you know, to store things in, your scraps or what have you. or make it as a gift separately on its own. Okay, we have that, and we have this in the center. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut away from this point here. Just cut away both score lines. You can do this with your trimmer if you wanted a really nice clean cut on this. I'm just showing you where you cut. So like I said, there's not very clean right there, was where I stopped. You cut this away, go all the way down to the last score line here. So you're cutting away all of that, and I do it here on this other side. So this is going to be our back. I'm just cutting along the score line. All the way to the second score line here. So you also cut away this little 1/4 inch one here. So now we have it looking like this, and we can fold it up, see how it's going to look. Just like that. If you want to miter cut, you can. I don't think it's necessary, but you can do just a very slight little miter cut here. From the outer edge in towards the inside portion. Then you're just going to flatten this down so you can put glue on the 1/2 inch section on each side. This is going to seal up the sides of our folder. So you're just going to bring it in, stand it back up so that you have the side is a 1/4 inch. Line it up really well there on the side like that, so you have your 1/4 inch. And I can reach in there and burnish with my bone folder. And then line this one up as well. So you want just the 1/2 inch glued down so that you have the 1/4 inch standing up. Okay, get that burnished in there. Okay, so there's what it looks like. Then you take your corner rounder, round the 2 top edges. Try to get it straight here. This one I need to clean up just a little bit here on the side. Had a little bit of the score line still showing. There we go. Okay, so now we have the rounded edges. Still don't quite like that one. It's not wanting to round for me. So I'll just do it with my scissors. I guess I got it off the first time. There we go. I'm just going to round that off. Okay, so now we have the rounded top edge. And to finish it off, of course, you would add your pattern paper to the back and the front, and then some inside. I went down probably about just to below this. And then what I did is I cut a piece the width of this, and punched my lace, glued it to that, and then added that extra strip there. So you can decorate it with the lace or without. So that's how you make a little storage folder to insert into the pocket of your album. To finish up this album, I have all the decorating done and my pattern paper and matting done. I am going to add a ribbon tie closure. So I took 4 pieces of the seam binding ribbon, 2 blue and 2 pink, and I crinkled them up. So I cut them about, I think, 18 inches each and tied one of each color together in a knot. So I'm just crinkling them up some more to show you how to do that. And then I'm going to attach a set to the front and one to the back, a set of them to the back. So I'm going to turn this over to the back and line up my album on the grid so that I can get the center point. So it's 10 inches, so I want it at 5. So I'm going to take one end of one of the ribbons, I'm going to flatten it out, and I'm going to glue that down in the center on the back. So I'm just taking my art glitter glue, and right at the 5, I'm going to put some glue where I want the ribbon attached. And then I will glue the other ribbon on. So again, I do have a pair of the pink and the blue for each side, for the front and the back. So just make sure it straightens out and just line that up right there. And then to finish that up, I'm going to take a sticker and I'm going to glue the sticker over the ends of the ribbon on the back side. So I'm just deciding which sticker I want. So I think I'll go with this one that has a little saying. So I do use glue to make sure it stays on. You don't want your sticker popping off. Even though they're sticky, you do need to add some extra glue. So I'm just going to center that over the ribbon and finish that off on the back. So that way it's all flat when the book is laying flat down on a table. So burnish that down, clean up any excess glue. And then we'll add the one to the front. So now I'm going to flip it over, and I can line it up on my grid, or you can just use the one that you just put on to kind of line it up. So I'm going to take the other pair of ribbons and a button. I'm going to secure this one with a large button that I got in my design team package. So I'm just lining it up. And I'm going to, again, take art glitter glue and put it where I want the ribbons to attach. So take one ribbon and attach the end. Add some more glue and attach the other ribbon. Then I'm going to secure the ends of that by gluing this large button over it, just like that. And then I'm going to let it dry. Take time to dry, make sure it's really secure. So just put plenty of glue on the back of that. The art glitter will dry and hold it. I'm just cleaning off a little bit that oozed out on the side. And I think that made a really cute finish for my ribbon tie closures. So this album is done. I want to thank you all for following along on this tutorial and invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already by going down below and clicking on subscribe. And then when you do, click on notifications so that you'll be notified every time I upload a video, so you'll know when I have a new tutorial or new product to share. And as always, remember to shop at countrycraftcreations.com. Be sure to use my affiliate code, which is Sandy Trefger. That's SANDYTREFGER in all caps. I've shown it here on the screen. I also have a link to it down below in my description. I've also will have a cutting guide or cutting list for you that you can click on the link down below and print up to follow along, which will help you with some of your cutting of your papers. Now, I do just the cutting guide for the base of the album, the cardstock and everything, and not the decorative papers. So again, thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you again on my next design team project for Country Craft Creations. Bye-bye, everybody.